Looking back at everything I knit in 2025, I've noticed some patterns, both in the sweaters I reach for again and again and in the how I choose new projects. This year I want to pay attention to those patterns and let them guide my knitting in 2026. If you're curious about what I learned, what I want to try next, and the intentions I'm setting for my knitting, you're in the right place. And don't worry, this isn't a new year, new me checklist. It's more like a cozy map for the year ahead. So get comfy and let's dive in. Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Luisa, but everyone calls me Lu. And here on the channel I share my knitting projects, reflections, and sometimes little deep dives into my creative process. 2 weeks ago I released my Everything I Knit in 2025 video, which is a full look at everything I finished in 2025. If you haven't seen it yet, I will link it above and in the description down below. And following up on that, today I want to do something a little different. I'm reflecting on what really mattered in my knitting last year and thinking about how I want to approach my projects in 2026. I realized it's not about knitting more or faster, but about noticing patterns in how I knit, what I reach for, and, well, what I love. That's what makes this process exciting and personal and just like me. I'll share some of my favorite projects, designers that inspired me, some quiet achievements I'm proud of, and a few intentions for the year ahead. Hopefully it gives you some inspiration for your own knitting too. So for today's video, I have my knitting notebook with me to guide me through it all because there's a lot I want to say and I don't want to forget a single thing. So I've divided everything I want to say today into a few categories, and those are the projects that defined my 2025 knitting, patterns I've noticed, some achievements of 2025, what I want to learn and what I want to change in 2026, and some knitting intentions for the new year. The best way to start this creative process, in my opinion, is by looking back at 2025. So the first thing I did was gather everything I knit in 2025 and start separating them by categories. So the first thing was select the patterns or projects, I should say, I reached for the most. So my most worn sweater was the Stripe Hype sweater. I guess it's because of the color palette I chose for this sweater, with warm tones, dark pinks, dark reds, this rusty color that I really love, and a warm beige as a base for this sweater. I also really love the look of stripes. This is something I discovered in my 2025 knitting. I didn't know I was into stripes so much. My second most worn knit was the Pierre sweater. I really love knitting and wearing sweaters, so all my three most worn knits are sweaters. So the second one is the Pierre sweater, like I said. And I think that's because of the romantic look of this sweater with the all over lace design. The color I chose, this earthy muted green. I'm terrible at describing colors, so this is the best I can do, at least for now. And what I really love about this sweater is that I look effortlessly dressed up when I wear it. I just put it on, pair it with a nice jeans, and I'm good to go. So this is the perfect world for me. And my third most worn sweater was the Daily Stripes cardigan. This is a cardigan. I love wearing cardigans, and this only the second one I've ever knit, but I'll talk more about that in a minute. With this project, I have a lot of these. I think out of everything I've knit, this is a project with a more oversized look. I have around, now I don't remember, but I think it's around 15 to 20 centimeters of positive ease. And I really love the look of it. It also has stripes, which I love, like I said. And combining that with beige and rust, it's so easy to pair with any pair of jeans I have, either a dark wash or a light wash. It goes well with everything, so I guess that's why I wear it so much. After that, I moved on to selecting the projects that modified the way I choose a new pattern to work on. And the first project that fits this category is the Belle and Sebastian pullover. This is originally written for a dropped shoulder construction, but I didn't really like the look of it. with the sleeve cables and the drop shoulder construction, I wanted the sleeve cables to start at the top of the shoulder. So I modified the sweater a lot to fit this idea I had in my mind. It was a very successful project, but what I learned from this project is I don't particularly like the look of dropped shoulder constructions for any pattern. I like for some stitch patterns and some cable designs and things like that, but I don't think it suits every single pattern. So I guess I would say I am a little bit more critical with dropped shoulder patterns and choosing what I want to cast on next if it's a dropped shoulder construction. The second pattern that also fits this category is the clematis sweater. With this one, this pattern is written for a DK weight gauge, but I already had the yarn I wanted to use on hand, so I decided to modify that to a fingering weight gauge, and I really love the final look of my clematis sweater. With this one, I learned that I am more capable than I first thought to make a pattern fit my preferences and the yarn I want to use, instead of adapting and adjusting my yarn to fit the pattern. Obviously, this is not for every pattern. I just do this if it's a stockinette pattern with a simple enough construction, which was the case of the clematis sweater. I really love the final look of it, and with this one I learned that I can be a little bit more adventurous with my knitting, that I'm more capable than I first thought. The third and final sweater in this category is actually, well, not a sweater, is the Lyra tee. This is something I've worked on over the summer of 2025, and this project takes a long time. Its twisted rib is a small gauge, so I had a lot of stitches on my needles. I don't know if I said that, but this project also has cables, which takes a little bit more time for me to knit. This project taught me that sometimes I'm not willing to go through all the effort to get that final piece done. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. So now I am a little bit more critical when deciding the projects I want to cast on based on, I guess, my mood at the time, if I am willing to go through all that process or not. I was willing when I was working on the Lyra tee. I'm really happy with the final piece I have, but this project taught me to be a little bit more conscious, I would say, of how excited I am to work on a certain project. So then I moved on to my favorite knits of 2025, which are not my most worn knits. These are the ones that made me feel the most me. And the first one is the Violeta pullover, which is the sweater I'm wearing today. The second place was the Stripe Hype sweater, which was also my most worn knit. And in third place is my sweater number 15. With all these three projects, I feel good when I wear them. I like the fit, I like the sleeve length, body length, neckline. I like everything about each of these three projects. I feel comfy when I wear them. I feel confident, which I think is even more important. And those are some because I liked so many projects in 2025, but I think these are my top 3 favorite projects of the year. So then after that, I wanted to look at the designers of each pattern I worked on in 2025, because I needed from so many new to me designers that I wanted to acknowledge them somehow. And my 3 favorite designers of 2025, well, the first one was Kotova Kik, or Veronica Lindberg. She's my number 1 favorite overall. Every year is the same thing. I just love her aesthetic, the perfect amount of details in her patterns, and how many words she uses in her patterns. I just love her writing style, and I feel like it's a good match. What I like to wear, what I like to knit, and the final look of the piece, the process of working on one of her sweaters. I just like everything. And it's almost annoying because every time she releases a new pattern, I know I'm going to like it, so it almost makes me annoyed because I'm always thinking, oh no, she released a new pattern. Oh, now I'm going to want to knit it. And I already have other plans. But, well, that's how my mind works. So my second favorite designer of 2025 was Claudia Quintanilla. She's the designer of the violet pullover I'm wearing today. She was a new to me designer and I really liked her writing style. Though when I first cast on this project, I was a little bit overwhelmed because there was a lot going on. But after a while, things settled into place and I understood a little bit better what I had to do. And everything worked out in the end, but I really liked her writing style. I really love her patterns and the detailed designs she has, especially for sweaters. And she is one of the designers that I would love to work on some other patterns in the future. I don't know if I will in 2026, but is a designer I would love to keep an eye out for new pattern releases. And my third favorite designer was Rebecca Clow. She is a very well-known designer. She has some mega pattern releases, as she calls them, patterns offering many options of customization and gauges. I worked on it's not the toasted tea, it's the Lusk tea. I really enjoyed the process, and what I really loved when working on this project was how free I felt when reading the pattern, because I don't know if the toaster, the not the toaster, the Lusk tea, I don't know if the Lusk tea is what she calls a mega pattern or not, but the pattern comes in two gauges and you have sleeve length options, long sleeve, short sleeve, all over stockinette or some textured stitch. So I really loved how free I felt to adapt this pattern to better suit my preferences and the vision I had in mind. I know she has a lot of mega patterns offering many customizations and neckline options and sleeve length options and things like that. She's definitely a designer. I keep an eye out for new releases because I really loved her writing style and I certainly want to work on another pattern of hers. And I think that's enough of looking back at my 2025 projects. So then I moved on to the patterns I was noticing out of all the categories from my 2025 projects. I've actually wrote down 14 patterns, but they all fit into a few categories. Some things I know I want to keep in 2026 and some things I will want to change. But the first thing I've noticed is when it comes to the fit of a garment, especially. Garments are my favorite thing to knit, especially sweaters. And the first thing I've learned in 2026 is regarding sleeve length. I didn't know I really enjoyed the look of a longer sleeve like this, going all the way almost to my knuckles. I really love the comfort I get with this sleeve length, especially combining that with a more, well, roomier, I would say, sleeve. Up until the beginning of 2025, I felt like I wanted some, well, regular length sleeve, let's say, something like this, and a more fitted look for a sleeve, but it's actually quite the opposite. Especially my Daily Stripes cardigan is the project that taught me this realization, I guess I would say. And I also have, from what I've noticed, a short upper body, a short torso maybe, because I find myself over and over again having to shorten the yoke of a sweater, maybe because I don't love really oversized sweaters and garments in general, or maybe just because I have a short torso. I don't know, but this is something I always keep an eye out. The yoke depth of a garment I'm working on. These are things I want to keep in 2026, sleeve length, the fit of a sleeve. Now moving on to the construction of a garment. I've worked on mainly top-down projects. I just worked on one bottom-up, which was my traveler hoodie. This is something I want to keep in 2026, not exclusively because I want to add some variety to my knitting. I did in 2025 also, and I want to keep in the new year. But I just really love the process of working on a top-down sweater. It's easy to try it on, see how it's looking and everything. But sometimes knitting sideways, knitting from the bottom up is also interesting to change things up a bit. I've also noticed that I've worked on many dropped shoulder constructions. This is something I want to change in 2026. Like I said, to add some variety. I don't think the drop shoulder look fits any design. This is my opinion, okay? I'm not saying this is a rule, this is just my opinion. But I want to work on some other constructions and see what else is out there, basically. Now, when it comes to project types, I've worked on mainly sweaters. I also have some variety with bags and a bow and socks and other things. I actually made a flow chart to help me see all the projects I've worked on and notice some patterns. I will add it here as a bureau if I can, but I've worked on mainly sweaters, like I said. I have a lot of striped garments. I didn't know I loved striped so much, but maybe I will work on one or two striped projects in 2026. I don't know. I don't know where my mind is taking me in 2026, but I'm open to that. And I've also noticed that I save many colorwork projects. I never knit them, I never cast them on, so this is something I really want to change in the new year. I've already started that because I have a colorwork sweater cast on. I'm trying to lose my fear of colorwork. I'm still learning, there's still a lot to go through, but I'm getting there someday. Hopefully, in 2026, I will lose my fear of colorwork and get comfortable with this technique. Another thing I've noticed are some knitting habits. I like mixing big and small projects. I like having three whips, at the same time. This is my maximum. I can't handle more at the same time. I get anxious. I feel like I'm not making any progress. And I love mixing big and small projects because sometimes I feel like I'm stuck working on the body. So I like to move to a scarf or a hat or something small, socks, anything. And I also noticed that I like mixing easy and more intricate patterns or projects at the same time. For example, if I'm working on a cabled sweater, I want to have a stockinette sock also at the same time and things like that to help my mind relax a little bit if it's something that I really have to pay attention to, like when I was working on my Pierre sweater. I really enjoyed having a more relaxing project, which was a stockinette project. I don't know if I was working on my Teddy Clutch or what, but I know I had a stockinette project also, and I really enjoyed that. This is something I definitely want to keep in 2026. And I think this is the most important thing I've learned from my 2025 projects, which is follow my instincts when it comes to modifying and adapting patterns and projects to my likes and dislikes, to my body type, to the idea I have in my head. Just follow my instincts, trust my instincts. If I'm in doubt about something, if I don't know if I like the yoke depth, don't keep working on it. Take the time to fix what you are feeling unsure about, and then you move on to continue working on the body or what else you're working on at the moment. I believe that if you don't know if you like something now, chances are you won't like it in the end either. And then you just lose even more time trying to fix this issue, or then you just wear it with the, let's say, yoke depth that you don't like, or then you want to reach for that sweater because you don't like the yoke depth and you don't want to go through the trouble of fixing it. So I believe that I should take the time to fix something I don't like when I notice the issue instead of just forge on with the project. This is something I learned in 2025 and I will certainly keep in 2026. And the last pattern I've noticed in my knitting in 2025 is the color palette. I always reach for the same color families when I'm choosing a yarn to cast on a project. I don't have a really big stash. I used to say that I didn't have a stash at all. But if I look at my pegboard behind me, and if I look at the 2 drawers full of yarn that I have right up there, I actually have a stash. It's a very small stash, but it is a stash. I can't say that I don't have one. I do, but it's really small. And I don't like buying yarn without a project in mind. I feel like I get anxious because when I finally decide on a project I want to work on with a certain yarn, then maybe I won't have the meterage I need to finish the project, and then maybe I won't be able to get my hands on a few extra balls of yarn to finish the project. And then it's either going to be a different dye lot, a colorway that is now no longer available, things like that. I get anxious. I don't like to keep a big stash, so I'm fine with that. I'm going to keep this habit in 2026, but I want to change the colors I reach for. I like colorful things. I love playing with colors. I love mixing different colors and having a really colorful wardrobe to the point where I almost don't have anything neutral. Neutral, I mean like white and light beige and black. I love black, but I don't knit with black, and this is something I would like to change. I don't know if I will in 2026. I want to add some neutrals to my wardrobe. Not many, just a couple of neutral sweaters. I love knitting with dark colors. I think it suits my skin tone better and my dark blonde hair. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel more like myself when I wear darker colors. But maybe adding a couple of neutrals would be nice. I've already started changing that because I am working on a light to medium beige sweater, the Afra sweater by Erin Lynn. I've cast on January 1st, and I'm really happy with that, so maybe a couple more would be nice also in 2026. And let's finish looking back at 2025 with some small achievements. And I think I should take the time to share with you the projects that I'm most proud of. These aren't flashy and over the top achievements, just small ones, but they really matter to me. The knits I'm most proud of, and I think this is something every knitter should look back at past years and gather the knits they are most proud of, because I think it gives such a good confidence to the knitter, make them think, oh, I'm so happy and proud that I made this, and it gives like a boost of confidence, you know. So when I did this, looking back at 2025, the knit I'm most proud of out of everything is my Pierre sweater. This was my first all over lace garment. I think this is actually my first lace garment overall, because up until that point I just worked on some yarn over rows here and there to add some interest to a certain section of a pattern and things like that. So not really lace knitting, and I am so happy I chose that project and I worked on it, and I love the final look of my Pierre sweater. I wear it a lot, like I've already said, and I want to work on another lace sweater in 2026 just to feel that same proud feeling I get from my Pierre sweater. The second knit I'm most proud of is my Violetta pullover, and I'm just so happy with it. I love the colors, I love the look of this lace panel. I managed to work on the lace in this entire sweater, and I didn't make any mistakes, and I'm so proud of it. I really love the final look of it. I've been wearing it a lot since I finished it, and I feel happy when I wear this. I feel like I'm on top of the world, kind of, and I want to, I just love this sweater. There's nothing else to say. My third sweater that fits this category is my Clematis sweater, because this sweater gave me a boost of confidence that I can actually modify a pattern to suit my preferences and my yarn instead of the other way around. Now I sometimes choose the yarn before choosing the pattern, and I really like that. I feel like I have more control of my knitting that way, and I regraded the entire pattern from a DK weight to a fingering weight gauge. I really love the final look of it. Everything worked out just fine, no minor issues during the process, and I'm just really happy I managed to accomplish this regrading process without any issues. It was my first time doing that, and I'm really proud of that achievement. My final, this category deserves a fourth place, and my fourth and final knit I'm most proud of is my honey clutch, because sewing that zipper took me 5 tries. And that wasn't at all what I was expecting. It was so much harder than what I imagined. And it worked out just fine in the end. I took this clutch for a spin yesterday when I took the train, and I brought a knitting project with me, which is something I don't usually do, but this time I did. And I managed to get a lot of progress on the train ride, which made me really happy. But I'm so proud of this honey clutch and the zipper section of it, especially the lining, everything. I feel proud of saying, oh, I made this clutch. Nobody ever asked me if I made that clutch, but I'm waiting for this day to come. One day someone will ask me if I made this clutch, and I'll say, oh, I did, yeah, it's mine, I made it. Not my pattern, but I made it. This is me from the future to say that I forgot to tell you a couple of things yesterday. I'm literally editing the video right now, and I just realized I skipped an entire section of my notes. I've made notes to make sure I didn't forget anything I wanted to say, and I skipped an entire section. So here's what I should have said to you guys yesterday. Aside from all the knits I am most proud of in 2025, there are 2 other things that made me really happy when I realized I accomplished them. And the first thing is I wear everything I make, or at least everything I've made in 2025. Sure, some things I wear more and others not so much, but I in fact wear everything I make. I like the way I feel when I wear something I've made. I am proud of all my finished objects. Sure, some of them I am more proud of, if I can say that, than others, but I am always happy to wear something that I've made. To me, this is really important. Some people like to prioritize, I would say, the process of working on something, but to me, working on something and enjoying the finished object are equally as important. I don't want to work on something that I know I won't wear in the end. And I also don't want to work on something that I don't enjoy, that doesn't bring me, well, joy and happiness, just for the sake of having the finished object. So I am really happy to be able to combine these 2 things and really enjoy the process, but also wear everything I've made in the end. I am proud of my finished objects, like I said. I like the fit of every single one. That means that sometimes I need some extra time to make sure I get the fit that I have in mind, to make sure I can bring that idea to life. Sometimes that means I have to frog a few rows or the entire yoke of a sweater, like I've done in 2025. Sometimes it means that I have to do some extra math to figure out the stitch count that works for my body type and for the vision I have in my mind. But I've made it all work in the end, and I am really happy to wear everything I've made. And my last achievement of 2025 is I finished everything I've cast on. I don't have lingering whips, I don't have ongoing projects, and that includes my blanket. I've cast on and bound off my blanket in 2025. Sure, I had to pivot in the end and change my original plan, but I've made it work, and I actually get a lot of use out of it now that it's winter. Today actually is freezing cold in this house, so I am using my blanket right now, but I don't have any lingering whips. Lingering whips make me anxious. I feel like I'm wasting time, wasting effort, and wasting money, something that isn't bringing me joy, otherwise I would have finished it. So I don't know if it makes sense, but it's the way my mind works. So to me, it's really important to finish everything I start. If it's not bringing me joy, then I frog it and repurpose the yarn. But in 2025, I in fact finished everything I've cast on. Nothing was abandoned. I made it all work for my body and the vision I had in mind. And I closed 2025 with empty baskets, which is the best way, in my opinion, to ring the new year, with a blank canvas to let creativity guide me in 2026, which is what I had back January 1st. Now not so much because I have full baskets with ongoing projects, but those are my accomplishments of 2025. And now let's get back to the video. So now let's look ahead to 2026, and I have a couple of things that I want to learn in the new year. The first thing is color work. Nothing crazy, just basic color work techniques and patterns. I just want to be comfortable with this technique, confident that I can cast on a project and end up with something I feel proud of in the end. Just basically color work, nothing crazy like I said. I've already started this goal with my Rubinia sweater that I've cast on January 1st also. And we'll see if I'll get there before the end of 2026. I think I can make it, but we'll see. I'm liking knitting color work. I don't think I love it as much as texture and stockinette fabric and things like that, and stripes also, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I would also love to learn how to hold my two colors in my left hand because I knit continental. At least now I can't hold the two colors in my left hand. I have to hold one in my left hand and the other one I just leave it behind my work, or I grab it loosely with my right hand just to keep some of the tension on my needles. I would also want to learn how to knit with one color continental and the other English style. I can't do that, but maybe in the future I will be able to. I don't know. I think it would make the entire experience a little bit more enjoyable if I could knit with both colors continental style, but we'll see if I can improve my skill set that much. This is something I would love, but I don't know. And another thing I want to learn in 2026 is regarding sweater construction. Not so much as what kinds of constructions better suit my body type or anything like that. I don't believe that should be a thing. I believe that if you like to work on a certain kind of construction, you feel happy when you wear it, you enjoy the process of working on it, and you feel confident wearing a drop shoulder construction, let's say, sweater, then you should just wear it and nobody should care if it's the construction for your body type or anything like that. Just wear it and nobody has the right to say anything. That's my opinion. But what I want to learn about sweater construction is the way I like each construction on my body. For example, for a drop shoulder construction, I prefer a yoke depth that is 22 centimeters deep. Or with raglan sweaters, I like having more positives than with drop shoulder constructions and things like that, because I've been noticing that my preferences change a bit from construction to construction. So this is something I don't think it's something that I really want to learn, but maybe it's more like a pattern I want to notice in my 2026 needs. I don't know, but I want to keep an eye out for that and maybe gather some information when it comes to the sweater construction of the patterns I work on over the course of 2026. The next thing I want to learn, I think this is my final goal for 2026, yes, is regarding sock fit. I would love understanding sock knitting better. I don't really get how everything works when it comes to the fit of a sock. I don't know what's good, what's not. I would love to be able to cast on a vanilla pattern, a vanilla sock, and just end up with a good fit that I really like to wear, that feels comfy and I can wear around the house with slippers, and I'm okay with that. I don't need complicated socks. I don't need over-the-top socks with cables and lace. I don't think socks will ever be as exciting as sweaters are, so I'm okay with just basic vanilla socks, but I would like to have a better understanding of how sock knitting actually works. So let's move on to what I want to change in 2026. I've already touched on a few topics when it comes to that, but there are also a couple of things that I want to change without a doubt in 2026. And the first thing is I want to knit for closet gaps. Like I said, I love wearing cardigans, but up until now, I've only worked on 2 cardigans ever since I first started knitting back in 2020. So I want to work on more cardigans. I love wearing them. I don't have that many. I just have 3 or 4 cardigans in my wardrobe. 2 are hand knitted, but I would love to add more to that collection. And I want to work on a few more hats. I didn't work on a single hat in 2025, I think. Yeah, I didn't work on a single hat in 2025. I have my entire project page on Ravelry here right next to the camera just to make sure that I don't say anything wrong. But yeah, I didn't work on a single hat in 2025, and I would love to work on a couple of projects because I want to add a little bit to my hat collection. I think I'm fine when it comes to neck accessories, but I would love adding 1 or 2 hats to my drawer, my winter accessories drawer. I would also like to work with colorful yarns when it comes to hats. I think I have more room to play with colors. When it comes to head accessories, I don't feel as restricted to how easy it is to create an outfit based on a lime green sweater than the way I feel with a lime green hat. So I want to play a little bit more with colors. Not many hats, like I said, just a couple, but that's definitely something I want to do in 2026. Which brings me to my knitting intentions for 2026. The first thing is I want to work on a couple of types of garments, let's say. Like I've already said some things about that, but I want to work on more winter accessories, like I said, a couple of hats, mainly hats, but maybe 1 neck accessory would be nice because I would love to have a set of matching hat and scarf. I've already cast on a neck accessory that I have here with me, this green one. So maybe that would be enough for 2026. I don't know. By the way, I don't know if you saw that, but this is my basket full of yarn labels from 2025. I want to figure out something to do with them because I have 133 yarn labels here. I don't know what to do with it, but it feels like a waste to just throw them out. And I don't know, I'm getting off topic here. Let me just put this here and let's continue talking about my intentions for 2026. I want to work on more cardigans, like I said, and I would also love to work on more raglan garments. I love the fit of a raglan. This sweater I'm wearing today is a raglan sweater, has a raglan construction here. I really love the fit of it. I really love the process. It's so easy to see if I have the right yoke depth, which is a tricky measurement for me and my body type. I love the process, like I said. I don't know if I said that or not, but maybe I did. And I love raglans. I didn't work on a single raglan in 2025. Aside from this Violeta pullover, so I would really love to add a couple of raglan sweaters, garments in general, to my wardrobe. And my final knitting intention for 2026 is to add some more colorful projects to my 2026 lineup. I'm already doing that. You saw that I cast on a green project, a green scarf. I'm working on a blue colorwork sweater. So I feel like I've already started that goal, but I still want to work on more colorful things and lean away from my go-to color families, which are the warm tones. I'm getting there, but there's still a lot to go through. I'm confident that by the end of 2026, I will have accomplished that goal. And when putting together my knitting intentions for 2026, I decided to create a Make 9 list. This is my first time doing a Make 9. I've never took the time to do that because I don't like to limit myself to knitting up and casting on these 9 patterns because I like to reserve the right of changing my mind over the course of 2026. So I've never really felt compelled to create a Make 9 list. But this year I'm doing kind of a Make 9, more like a Make 12 because I don't want to set patterns for each slot of my Make 9 or 12, but more like general fabric characteristics, or constructions and techniques I want to learn in 2026. So my Make 12 is here, and what I have here are 3 cardigan patterns. I didn't choose any patterns for my Make 12 list. I just have, like I said, loose plans. I hope that I will be able to complete this entire list, but who knows? I have here 3 cardigans I would love to add to my wardrobe in 2026. I would also like to work on a lace sweater, probably over the summer, but I don't know. I would also like to work on 2 raglan sweaters, 2 colorwork garments, 1 pair of socks to improve my sock knitting knowledge, maybe. I have here what I've written as citrine/poppy to remember myself that I want to work with bright colors. I am used to colorful yarns, but not so much as bright colors, and this is something I want to change. I want to work on at least 1 project with a really bright color. I've been eyeing some poppy blues and citrine greens, like a lime green. I think citrine is a green, or maybe a yellow. But yeah, I have something in mind. I'm not ready to share yet because I like to reserve the right to change my mind. But yeah, this is an idea, and I want 2 hats. 1 simple hat, like a stockinette hat, and 1 maybe more textured with a intricate lace pattern or cables and something like that. And that's also why I have a Make 12 instead of Make 9, because I think many of the things that I've written here I can maybe check with just 1 project. I can work on a raglan sweater with a citrine green, citrine yellow yarn, and check mark 2 goals of my Make 12 with just 1 project. So I feel like I would be cheating if I just did a Make 9. So instead I have a Make 12, and I'm really excited to see where my knitting will take me in 2026. But those are my reflections, goals and intentions for 2026. Nothing set in stone, like I said. This is more like a map than a rule book, and I'm excited to see how my knitting evolves in 2026. I would love to hear from you. What patterns have you noticed in your knitting, and what are you curious to try this year? If you'd like to share in the comments, I always love reading them. And if you enjoyed this cozy reflection, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos, including knitting updates on the projects I'm working on, future plans, and all things knitting. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and here's to a thoughtful and joyful 2026, 1 project at a time. Bye!